I would like to call this meeting of the Southern Berkshire Regional School District to order, a special school committee meeting tonight, June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment and recognize our seniors. We had an absolutely gorgeous senior awards ceremony this evening, and one of the awardees, Quinn Butler Carlson, who is our videographer for CTSB, was very busy. Was busy during the ceremony and setting up for us. He's been with us all year and not able to be at the award ceremony. So I wanted to take a moment to thank Quinn and recognize him for his awards tonight and his great accomplishments. So I appreciate that. Good. Thank you, Quinn. Additionally, earlier this week, we had a very terrible tragedy in Ashley Falls, and I wonder if we might just take a moment of silence for that very tragic situation that impacted our district, some of our families, our students. If we just take a moment, please. Thank you very much. And now we will proceed and open with public comment. So we do have public comment first on the agenda.
I'm Connie Cooper from Spring Hollow Lane in Sheffield. I'm here to encourage the committee to support this budget unanimously. I've attended a few meetings and witnessed the animosity, ugliness, disrespect, and divisiveness of this committee. I was also accused of collusion. However, a committee member suggested the 6% cap to assessments as a goal for this year's budget. You have met that goal regardless of your agreement or disagreement with the tactics used and the end product. Now it's time for you to come together and show support for the district. We need a budget so we can preserve the staff and programs that we have. Without a budget, we will lose more than we already have. You all need to vote for this budget, not only for the district preservation, but so you can move on to the future when you need to prove to the towns that you can work together in a respectful and collegial manner. The next budget may be even more difficult than this one, but you need to work with the towns and remind them how they overwhelmingly defeated the merger, and it's time to put their money up with their votes. But right now, please show your respect for each other, stand up for faculty, staff, and district programming, be a role model for our students, and adopt the fiscal year 27 budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, I'd appreciate it if you would hold your applause. Thank you.
Sarah Sickett, Sheffield mom. First, I would like to thank our school committee members who are working hard and trying to move us forward, work together, and advance a budget. I know personally how invested many of you are. I had Nancy's kids in class. Many years ago, I babysat Julie's. I'm trying to instill a love of horses in Miguel's, and I really appreciate Amy's English and her stepping up here with a new perspective. I could go on and on all around the table, but my point is to thank you for understanding our perspective and working to advance a budget that doesn't gut us. I teach math, so let's talk numbers. Here we go. Last year, Berkshire Hills had over 400 pages as a budget posted online with line items. We had 19 pages, by the way. Our former superintendent made $24,831 as a consultant in the fall. That would have saved a paraprofessional.
Oh, Sarah Sickett, here we go.
Oh my God. What?
We have $55,000 in our budget for admin raises. It was on slide 3 during your last raise. That's not contractual. That came in a letter in February from our previous superintendent who no longer works here. $55,000 in admin raises. Did I mention no admin were riffed in this current situation? We just hired a business administrator for over $100,000. I'm really hoping that that business administrator, for that amount of money, getting one back full time, could cover that data position that was only added 2 years ago by our previous superintendent that also used to have 2 staff stipends associated with it instead of a position. At $55,000, and 87 cents. This position, which carries no certification, is higher paid than our choral teacher, every ESP in our district, our technology specialist, kids we see every day with laptop issues, our caseworker, a teacher interventionist at Undermountain, a pre-K teacher at New Marlboro, a fifth grade teacher at New Marlboro, the math teacher with dual special. I could go on and on. The point is, let's make sure that our cuts and our returns are helping our kids. No admin positions were lost. We don't need to bring back non-teaching positions that aren't kid-facing. At 7.1%, this budget could sound rough. It sounds a lot better to me than 11.4% that we would be at if we had merged with Berkshire Hills, no longer own this building, and still be paying for it. But gutting us doesn't save us. We didn't vote to save a building. We voted to save what makes us special. So why are we losing it? I'm confused. As a district, are we interested in high-quality education? We taught early college. We're going to have no librarian. 79 kids, 6 through 12 in chorus. 170 kids, 3 through 5 with Maddie Caruso in chorus. 40 kids on the choir trip. Every elementary student takes gym. We're going to cut the teacher who drives to outlying schools. Someone must have started to do their planning next year, because these jobs have been recalled. But they haven't tried sending out guidance transcripts or college transcripts with only half a secretary in that office. So someone started planning, but they haven't looked ahead. We're already down staff. We didn't hire high school math this year. We didn't hire high school English. We have one nurse K through 12. We also only have a third grade teacher in New Marlboro who's teaching 2 grades without extra pay. All of these are positions that aren't included because we didn't hire them from the previous years. Oh, and did I mention that we're down a person who used to teach PACE because we made that half an admin position that we sent on to admin that we didn't add the teaching body back? We are down staff that isn't being counted. And 0 admin. Did I reiterate that? 0. Yeah, I'm biased towards good education. Thanks for the word. I appreciate it, Bob. But what does it mean? In Beth's last year, the North Adams superintendent made $155,000. Berkshire Hills, the second highest paid, made $196,000. We are the only district who had a superintendent over $200,000, plus her stipends. We as towns failed. We let that happen. We cannot fix that on the backs of our children.
Amy Murray, Sheffield. I first wanted to bring up that the last meeting ran 2.5 hours with only 2 things accomplished. You put $200,000 aside for E&D and you put the rest back to salaries. It was quoted as being chaotic and disorganized in the paper. I would suggest that some of the measures that are used for us to limit our public speaking start to apply to the members of this board. Use your egg timer. Somebody make a motion and only discuss item agendas for a certain length of time. Many people are in person, many people are online. We cannot keep having meetings that go on and on and on. That should have been the quick and easy one. I understand tonight it might be more difficult actually passing the budget. The last meeting should not have been 2.5 hours. That also being said, there was a little nugget in the back of that packet last meeting that really went untalked about. There was a memo from our former superintendent who was here as a consult dated February 26th that was given the justification for raises for some admin positions. Now, it has been widely discussed at this table through this process since the end of February that I've been attending that mistakes have been made under her leadership. She was also given a stipend due to her business background. She oversaw the process. TJ talked about 20 corrective journal entries. We know the double dipping and all. I feel like I've gotten an accounting degree of the circuit breaker fund and how things were used twice. Why are we now listening to her advice when she is no longer our superintendent? She was a consult who clearly made mistakes and missteps that this community is now paying for in this year's budget. Yet we're going to take her advice to listen to, in a troubled year, above and beyond what admin should be getting for raises. I do not understand this. Yes, something that she mentioned dealt with our teaching contract. We fought pretty hard to get what we got, not just for teachers, but for our paras, for our secretaries, and for our food service. And in fact, we started not with teachers. We started with our paras and secretaries and kitchen staff because it was embarrassing what they were making. And we proved that they could make more going at Dunkin' Donuts if they could servicing our kids. We settled them first. We put them first. However, we did not close the gap as teachers or any staff to any other district in Berkshire County with that raise. That was 3 1/4, 3 and 3. Because every other district that settled when we were settling made at least that, if not more. So all we did was maintain the gap we already have. That gap does not exist in admin salaries across this county. And we are so top heavy, I don't know how we haven't turned upside down like a ship. You can't just have sales. There has to be something below the water. And I've kept saying in my 30 years in this district, we've decreased students, decreased paras, decreased teachers. The only category that has increased is admin, including adding one 2 years ago. So when we're saying that no admin were cut, that the 0.5 from 2 years ago does not count. It was a sunsetted position, and when I look back through notes, I can't even find it being discussed here or that it came here. If we are all in the same storm, we clearly are not all in the same boat, because my boat is sinking. You're asking me to do more with less. But admin is now advocating for raises in a difficult time when you're not even cutting from that end. And I'm not sure how that is sustainable. So that being said, do I agree with all the cuts? Absolutely not. Have I made my voice heard? Probably since March. You're hoping that I missed some of these meetings. However, voting no on tonight's budget does not change that. I don't get to decide who's cut and who's drawn back, as much as I have
Amy, you're almost
decisions.
done.
You have to vote on a budget. Your job was to do it in March. Holding as a no vote tonight does not change who's cut and who's coming back. We need to send this to the towns. Please, you are months late in your job. Send it on.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alexis Kennedy. I'm the school librarian at Mount Everett, and I'm speaking as one of the positions that has been cut. I'm adding my voice to the choir to strongly urge you to pass this budget that is being presented tonight. To say that this is a difficult moment, I think is an understatement. I understand that probably on a more cellular, deeper, visceral level than most people in this room. I have thought about it a great deal. It obviously has great import. And when I think about that, I look around this library that I'm lucky enough to work in with our students, and I realize that it is at these moments of great difficulty, of great consternation, of great conflict, and of great volatility that great stories are told. The great stories here in this world are about difficult times. And they become great stories, and they become great movies, and they're told from generations because those moments and how we behave in those moments define who we are and tell stories about who we are to our children. You are here as school committee members to determine who we are as a school committee, who we are as a school community, and where the future of these 5 towns goes. Most times in life, I have found, the older I get, that problems are both very, very complicated, and they're also very, at the same time, very simple. What is very complicated is that there's 5 towns involved. There are changing budget schedules. There are things that should have been done and weren't done, and accounting errors that have yet to be rectified. I understand that it's very complicated. It is also very simple. And I am heartened by, and I hope I share this with you, that last school committee meeting, overwhelmingly, the people that you are here to support came out and made a very clear statement on what matters to them and what their values are. Far more importantly than all those parents who came out and adults who spoke were the children. My job as an educator, as I see it, is very simple. I have power as an adult with agency and an education, and my job is to do the very best if two children who do not, by value of their age and maybe a variety of other issues, do not have that same power and agency, and it is my job at the end of the day to protect them and do my very best for them. You had students come to this mic with voices quavering, saying, please do not cut our arts programs. Please do not take our teachers from us. This is our future. Please listen to us. And while it was so heartbreaking, it was so amazing to watch their courage and to listen to them. And I find so striking is that the messaging was clear, it was simple, and it was unanimous. I also encourage you to think about the young children who don't have the voice, who are too young to come here and to speak on their right to speak. Please think of those really young children who need PE in their day. They need to move around. They want a chorus teacher. They want music education. They need arts. And so I am asking you, please, to think of those children, because they are indeed watching us, and how we communicate with each other, the decisions we made, how we vote, is how they understand how to live their lives, and they understand what our values are as a community. And so please consider the voices of the students who have come here. Please listen to their arguments, and please vote in favor of their budget. It is of this budget. It is not perfect. It is far from perfect. This is still going to be a very difficult time ahead of us, but this is our opportunity to define what are our core values and why we are here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mari Enoch. I'm speaking as a resident of Monterey, a voter, taxpayer, parent, not speaking in my capacity for my positions in any towns. I just wanted to clarify that. It goes without saying my deep gratitude for everybody for working so hard, for reading my emails, for answering emails, last minute questions. I look at the documents we got last week and the documents that came out today. I still have questions. I don't understand some things. The $80,000 that was deducted from capital and was going for fuel, I see it come out of capital, but operating didn't increase by $80,000. I assume fuel is there, so I don't know where that is. I don't know why the benefit line has never changed, even though staff salaries are up and down. They should mirror each other, I would think. There's the capital from FY26 has disappeared off the budget. I don't know why. It's a typo. I don't know. I have questions, but what I'm here to say is if you have questions, all of you who are going to vote on this tonight, yes, you have to do your work and vote on it, but please pause before you vote and ask the questions so that we have confidence here that you all know exactly what you're voting for. There's so much at stake here. And just a quick word about questions. Some of the people out here know my son, Joseph Enoch, class of 23. Joseph Enoch was the king of questions. And people in this room encouraged it and supported it. And you know what? He asks the same question every day. And Karen and Tom and everybody here made him feel welcome to ask questions. So what I'm saying is, please ask questions. Ask them respectfully. Do not accuse when you ask your questions. Do not get defensive when you answer them. Ask the same question again, and please welcome each other to ask the questions. This is your chance before you vote. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin Fish, Sandusfield, and like Mary, Marie Kamens, who was unable to be here tonight, and I have scoured the budgets again when they came out today. We're always looking for any money that might be available to save our incredible teachers and staff. And a couple questions that came up that piggyback on what Mary just said are the benefits. You know, we had $1.5 million in staff cuts in the slideshow last week. If you conservatively take 25 to 30% as fringe benefits, that's easily $375,000 to $450,000. Were those fringe benefits considered when staff were cut? Because they should have been. The other thing that doesn't seem to appear is the choice in revenue that comes from parents like me, from the kids, my kids joining the school. I think roughly, if I'm not mistaken, we have about 80 choice in students at $5,000 a student. That's additional revenue of $400,000. Where is it? These are simple questions. And if we hadn't jumped the gun, and I will say it and keep saying it, on cutting staff, we could have answered these questions and saved them a hell of a lot of heartache. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, then we will continue. Next on our agenda is an acknowledgement and disclosure of an unintentional email correspondence concerning our FY27 budget, and that email thread is in our packets, and I believe has been in, it's in the packets. So per council, we don't have to file a motion, but we do have to make an acknowledgement that we are doing this disclosure, and we must read the email threads into public record. So, Miguel, I don't know if you would like to read that, or do you want the chair? The chair can read the entire thing, or?
Up to you. I'm happy to read or to.
Well, it was your voice. If you don't mind, how
Sure.
about we go through that, and we'll go through there. Thank you.
So I'll read my email. Last Friday after our last meeting, I sent an email. As a parent, I have acute concerns, of course, whose children will be affected next year by all the cuts. So that is the reason why I sent the email and made the mistake of sending it outside of public record.
Right, and so it went to the entire school committee, which is the violation that we're trying to address tonight.
So here's my email. After last night's meeting, I've had a discussion with a longtime school board member from another Massachusetts community who zoomed in and observed. He highly recommended that we do not need to keep $200,000 in E&D rainy day reserves, that keeping zero is quite common. He advocated that E&D is typically fully used to pay teachers' salaries in Massachusetts because it is recurring, and that in our extreme case of layoffs, other districts are not losing 10% of staff, that we should fully use it to save teachers' positions. I included E&D funds from the last 4 years, 2026 of $933,000, 2025, $1,009,000, 2024, $859,000, 2023, $844,000. And as a counter argument, I offered Google AI is telling me that yes, 3% of the operating budget is the rainy day minimum that most school committees do agree on. That yes, relying heavily on E&D funds can create structural budget gaps in future years, as Brian explained. I also understand that this course could lead to cuts happening next year regardless, but it could also not lead to that outcome. It gives us a year to find solutions, which we were not really given this year due to the lengthy and convoluted budget process. So, and I just received the most clarity we have seen in the budget last night. Looking over the fiscal year 27 budget, I also found a few other reductions. In the initial reductions of $126,780 from department heads in the presentation last night, I did not see any line items from school committee expenses or from superintendent expenses. I think it's a bit embarrassing for us that we did not identify any reductions from our line items, and please feel free to correct me if there have been reductions taken from those categories and I am not aware. So I highlighted some potential savings from the school committee, reducing our printing expense, if that's possible, reducing our travel and conference expense from $4,000 to $2,000, and from the superintendent's line from 1210, reducing his travel allowance from $6,000 to $3,000 or less. I also identified from line group 5,300 leased equipment, copiers, $100,600. And that line item was up $20,000 from the previous years, and I was inquiring if we could stick to 85. In total, what I was presenting was a potential of $230,000 to saving potentially another 3 to 4 teachers of staff positions. I urge the school committee to please take a look at every expense to see if there are any other savings. If another meeting prior to June 3rd is needed to discuss, so that we can give the maximum number of dollars possible to the leadership team when they are considering whom to reinstate. And then I think we should consider that as well. Best regards, Miguel Muir.
Thank you, Miguel, for reading that. Carl, are you interested in reading your response?
I'm not interested in reading my response, but I'm interested in making a response.
Okay, I need to finish. We need to read your response to Miguel as well.
Okay,
I mean, I will do that if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
okay, so after that email, then Carl send a response back again to the school committee, so that is part of the thread. Miguel, this email message sent by you is very clearly and indisputably a violation of the open meeting law. If your message isn't a deliberation within the meaning of the open meeting law, then the moon, as my mother frequently opined, is made of green cheese. I am quite frankly astonished after certifying your familiarity and understanding of open meeting law, you sent this message. Is it at all surprising that people in Boston snicker when they mention is made of Southern Berkshire Regional School Districts and its dysfunctional school governance? I realize that some people think I'm overly formalistic and they resent me because of that, perhaps even some of my other personality traits, but the open meeting law is serious business and violations by people bound by its provisions are subject to disciplinary action, including mandatory training and monetary penalties. I suggest you contact the Massachusetts Attorney General's office at the beginning of the coming week. Ask them for guidance on what you should do. You should make it very clear that you prepared and sent this message to a quorum, indeed all members of the school committee, that it was not solicited by any one of us. Carl, additionally, although it's not nearly as egregious as the open meeting law violation, you suggest that we, the school committee, might want to consider having another meeting before the currently scheduled June 3rd meeting. To do that would be another violation of the law. As you know, 48-hour notice is required for all government bodies subject to the open meeting law. Weekend notice is not allowed under the 48-hour notice rule. And so that was the email thread that was sent to all. Miguel did research, Carl did research, I spoke with our counsel, and we are acknowledging and disclosing this. That's why this has been into public record as initial cure to any potential open meeting law violation. So it's not the opinion of our counsel that we have to make a motion or anything along that, as long as we are all acknowledging that an error was made. We are all human. It's been very, very tense. We recognize that. And tonight you will notice there was a copy of our ethics policy in your packets just for review. And as well, as part of our July retreat, I'm talking with MASC, and hopefully we'll be having a governance and ethics training and fresher that is probably well overdue. It'd be good for all of us to be on the same page. And I believe that will take care of this acknowledgement and disclosure. Although, Carl, I know you wanted to make a statement.
Well, with all due respect to our counsel,
Okay.
he are wrong. Here is one of the options of the Attorney General when there is a deliberation outside of an open meeting, which this clearly was, and I think there's going to be no question about that. One of the options that the Attorney General has is that the violation of the open meeting law may vitiate any action taken related to that violation. In other words, we vote tonight on a budget. The Attorney General could find, and I am not hazarding a guess as to whether or not the Attorney General would find, but the Attorney General could find that open meeting law violation influenced members of the school committee, 1, 2, or all, in their vote on the budget, and void the vote on the budget. That's what the Attorney General could do. That would be a big mess. I think we can all agree. And I suggested to the chair that every member of this committee affirm prior to a vote on the budget that the communication from Member Meir did not and will not influence their decision on their vote for the budget. The chair can either ask that or not. It's up to the chair. But I think that without it, we leave ourselves open to the unlikely but possible result of voiding the vote. That's it.
Okay. Well, I think I'm not opposed. If the committee feels they would like to do this affirmation, as Carl is suggesting, it certainly isn't a problem to do that. Now that this has been read into open session, and our next agenda item is the budget, any of these topics could be brought up during that discussion as well. So, preliminarily right now, we can say, okay, we saw it, we're human, we can be objective, and that's absolutely fine. I'm okay with that. If our committee would like to do that, take that step. It wasn't mandated by our council, but I respect Carl's opinion on this too. Miguel?
So I believe, according to my research, it states that if there was a decision made before the letter was disclosed, before it became a matter of public record, then we would be in danger of the AG coming to nullify the vote. But I believe, from what I read, but I may be wrong, that if it's been admitted to public record, then any decision afterwards is not in danger.
Yeah. Nancy, you have your hand up? Thank you.
Since this is something that, I'm not sure if this is something that needs to be voted on, but there is discussion going on. If it needs to be voted on, then a motion should be put forth regarding members acknowledging or that, or being asked if Miguel's influence, or that it has not influenced their votes. If it doesn't need to be voted on,
Then we can. Okay. If someone would like to make a motion, I will entertain it.
Oh, why not? I make a motion to vote on,
To maybe acknowledge and disclose
acknowledge and disclose, or
our open meeting law violation. I think, Carl, you were thinking about language. Can you help?
The open meeting law violation is not in
Okay,
any
how about
way
you guys make
That it's not in.
influencing our vote on budget.
and that will be open for discussion, correct?
The motion hasn't been seconded yet, but after it is.
second.
Okay.
Okay, it is second, but let's make sure we're clear on what we're stating. That, Carl, you want
Well,
to?
as I told you in our
Yeah.
telephone conversation,
Yes.
Julie, this is what I believe that Miguel's research is incorrect, not faulting him, but I suggested to you
Yeah.
that each member say in open meeting, meaning now, that I have read the communication from committee member Meir, and I affirm that it has not influenced and will not influence my decision on the budget in any way. That doesn't do away with, it makes it highly unlikely that the Attorney General would take any action based on it. Although the Attorney General may say, you guys should have OML, open meeting law training. But the worst part of, the part that worried me the most was the voiding of a decision that was made. And that, I think, would convince the Attorney General that would be an extreme penalty and particularly since if the members of the committee say it was interesting, they don't have to say it was interesting because some may not think it's interesting, but it was I read it, it didn't affect my vote.
Okay.
So can you?
Carl, I was going to say, Carl, would you model that and we can each say that? That's what you're
Just
suggesting.
Simply, I, Bonnie Silvers.
No, do it for yourself. And then,
Okay,
yes, model it, please. We will
I,
follow
Carl
suit.
Stewart, a member of the Southern Berkshire Regional School District School Committee, have read the communication of committee member Miguel Meir, dated, what's the date? May
The 29th.
29th. And I affirm that it has had no effect on my forthcoming vote on the school budget.
Is
Okay.
this something that needs to be voted on, or are we pulling Kim's?
No, I believe, Carl, you're suggesting each one of us make this statement. Bonnie, do you feel prepared to make that statement?
I, Bonnie Silvers, read the communication from Mr. Meir, and it will not influence any decision I make on the budget today.
Okay, thank you.
I, Amy Bainbridge Jordan, have read the email communication from Member Muir dated May 29th, and I affirm that it has had no effect on my forthcoming vote on the school budget.
I, Julie Hannum, affirm that I have read the communication of Miguel Mir on May 29th, and it will not affect my forthcoming budget vote.
I, James Matisse, affirm that I've read the communication from Miguel Mir and affirm that it will have no effect on my upcoming vote on the budget.
I, Kim Alcantara, did not read the communication, but stopped once it said E&D because I knew it was an open meeting law. So it has no effect on my vote.
Thank you, Kim.
I, Arthur Pataki, affirm that I read his email and it will have no effect on my vote.
Nancy?
I, Nancy Worthington, read Member Muir's email and affirm that it has no influence on my vote.
Very good. Thank you all for making that affirmation. Carl, thank you for holding us to very high standards. I appreciate that. It does show how kind of imperfect legal opinions can be, or how they may go back and forth between research and counsel, but I feel confident that I hope that we have covered our bases with the Attorney General on this. So thank you very much, everybody, for your attention to this matter. Next, we will move to adoption of the fiscal year 27 operating, transportation, and capital budgets. And we'll make note that if and when we get to be making motions, that we read the entire motion with the budget figures as has been laid out on our agenda. And I will turn it over to Dr. Ricca.
Sure. Christy, you put that one slide up, please. So per the school committee's instructions from last Thursday evening, in discussions with the leadership team, both as a group, with principals as individuals, and then ultimately with Ms. Retzel and Mr. Carpenter together, we are proposing to reinstate the following positions using the monies set aside by the school committee during the vote on Thursday night. The first one is PE and health. That is the only individual listed who has professional teaching status. So if a budget is adopted tonight, and ultimately if a budget is passed by 4 of the 5 towns, that one individual will be recalled to the same position. We have reinstated an elementary FTE, the exact grade level to be determined based on tonight's adoption and subsequent passing by 4 out of the 5 towns. We have identified and proposed to reinstate the library FTE, the music FTE, 2 secondary FTEs in ELA and science. We're proposing to put back 1 of the 2 administrative assistant positions, splitting it 0.5 from elementary and 0.5 from secondary. We're proposing to return the data coordinator as well as the early college coordinator, with the grant being funded and notification shared with us shortly before the meeting last Thursday night. Excuse me. All of those will not change the assessment level of 6%, because these are, as we've discussed, one-time funds. There's no guarantee that they will be here for us for availability for next year. But those have all been reinstated in the current copy of the budget that was put in front of you Monday and this afternoon.
Okay. Do we need to ask TJ to do anything at this point?
TJ, do you want to add any
Is there any
color commentary?
Anything to add before we ask for a motion so we can discuss?
No, not really at this point. The budget's out there. We've done it a few times already. And so it's just a matter of, is it 21.3, I think the number was?
Yes.
Yeah, 21.3 is the budget, and the assessments will follow after that. We have a line item budget that was provided to the committee as well. So I think, I'm not sure there's much more to add.
Okay, very good. Then I'd like to entertain a motion so that we can proceed into discussion.
I move that we
Accept the budget as presented.
Yeah, you have to read all these numbers, Jim. You gotta read the whole thing, that's why.
Okay.
So start, Jim,
So,
with motion to
motion to approve.
FY +27.
FY '27, motion to approve FY '27 operating, transportation, and capital budgets.
As follows.
As
And then,
follows.
yep,
FY '27 budget operating expenditures, $18,667,822. Transportation expenditure budget, $2,245,927. Capital expenditure budget, $156,750. Capital project bond replacement, $300,000, for a total expenditure of $21,371,399. So FY '27 assessments for operating assessment, $15,400.
15 million.
15 million.
15 million, sorry, $433,579. Transportation assessment of $917,319. The capital assessment of $156,750. The capital project assessment of $300,900. Total assessment would be $16,808,548.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, made by Jim, seconded by Amy. So the floor is open for discussion on this budget. Kim?
I have a question. How did we move backwards on the budget? Because if you look at option 2 in March and what was put before us, with no offsets, it's actually, and with 14 RIFs, it's actually less expensive. So,
I can answer that question. This committee voted to do a level funding budget as the third or fourth option and brought it forward as such.
No,
So that,
sorry, maybe I didn't make myself clear.
Okay.
It went up. This budget went up from that. We level funded, which means less cost, usually.
not necessarily. In some of the cases, level funding increased some of our costs because in the first and second option, we went through line by line and met with each department and reduced costs where they asked us to, reduce costs that we thought were appropriate at the time. Level funded actually brought us back up higher, the third and the fourth options.
Then we put school choice.
School choice has been in at $513,000 from the beginning. That has been in from the beginning in every iteration.
The school choice has been in since. I did
500,
not
we've
see
we've
it
been
in
holding
option one.
$513,000.
Yeah,
In every
it's
version.
in the slides from last
Yes,
week.
Every
Option
version.
1.
Oh, I don't know
No,
about
maybe
option
not
one.
that,
Yeah,
but
and that's what I'm saying. In option 1, our budget was lower than it is now. And that's what I'm trying to understand, is how we backtracked with firing more staff or riffing more staff and stuff. And I understand level funding, but I cannot imagine that we had that many expenditures to go over and above and use the 5,000, 100,000 school choice, to use whatever we gained by riffing the extra people. I am trying to understand how that happened, because this budget is. So, that's just a question.
Yeah, just a question, yeah, no. We've been focused very much on this current version. We haven't looked at option 1 and 2 since that was sort of passed over a
aside.
long time ago. So,
agreed.
I have not compared back to that since we took this other tact on your motion, actually, to go back to level, and then we had to go back and try to, I know the staff was trying to make some reductions at that point. So it was just a, different kind of thing. Art, you look like you got a question.
Yep. So this committee voted 9-0 on Bonnie's motion to bring all the cuts forward to us before they were released to the public. And I would just like to know why that never happened.
You saw all the cuts last week?
No, that was a month ago, or 3 weeks.
March 26th,
March 26th.
last 4 minutes of the meeting.
I don't have an answer. I know we said as consensus, we wanted to do and understand that, and this administration made reductions, and then it was presented at that next meeting, but it's, I don't think the timing was such that that all happened, and I apologize, I can say, yeah, but, we could have all looked at it. I don't think it would have changed anything.
That's just disregarding the process of the school committee. If it's not the time or the place, so I'm just saying, that was wrong.
Okay, we will take that as wrong. Do other people have comments on approval or of the actual budget? Hold on one second. Bonnie?
When I listen to people like Mari speak with questions that she has, and the number of questions I still don't understand. We've been given things like very last minute, and I really do believe the school committee has been ignored in the process. You may have not been ignored, but I believe I can answer people in the community honestly based upon what I know. And I still look at this budget, and I think there are things that could definitely be cut that haven't been addressed. I mean, hiring, I don't know if it went through, this new business manager for more than we approved initially.
No, that's not the case. That was corrected to the 110.
It was corrected.
It was
Okay.
corrected to
But it
110
shouldn't-
as, yes, absolutely.
Okay, but we shouldn't have to be doing things like that. We should have the information that we need. And I believe that we have not been engaged
May I respond?
as all of the members of the school committee so that we can honestly answer people. I don't like getting letters or emails, and I don't have anywhere near the answer for what is happening. And that makes me feel, and not only feel, but I could see in the budget that there are things I think can be cut.
When
And I
you
think-
find that, though, excuse me for interrupting, Bonnie, when you see that, do you email the superintendent? I mean, I
I
sent a laundry list a month ago to the superintendent, so I
already
could get
brought
some
up
questions.
Not giving raises to administration at this point when we're getting, we're riffing people. You could hold it, and if things turn out, when we get more money back, that is appropriate, but I don't think it is appropriate when you send letters in the middle of the day, an email, and I know, Brian, you wanted people to be aware, but then to be giving people raises who administration, when we know as a school committee that has been an issue that has been brought up again and again and again. So I feel mostly, Brian has the right to make that, and I could go for, mostly that there are too many things in the budget when I look at it that I still don't have an answer. And also, it's not I hate to say it, it's not the only thing in my life, though it has been for the number of weeks.
Yes, it has.
For all of us that. But to not have the sufficient amount of time to be able to really go over and digest these things. And I really have had questions from people except for Alford, every other town, people question me, and I don't have the answers. And we know what we said going back about how we want to handle it. If you want us to work together, and we do want to work together, I believe, most of us, then there has to be a completely different position. And I don't think we can answer half the comments made by people in the room today. So that's my statement. I'm very unhappy that I could still go over this budget and say, take 20 out of that, take 15 out of that, et cetera, and I wasn't involved.
I think.
And we weren't involved.
May I respond?
Okay, yeah, Dr. Ricker responds.
On February 26th, I brought the first version of this budget to the school committee. It was only after human beings were proposed to be reduced that folks started to get serious and started to email. That is hard to say out loud, but that is also the truth. This committee has had this budget, 5, 6 versions that we're up to now, in its hands since the end of February. And the timeline that we have been put under to ensure that a vote can be taking place in our towns before the end of this month has necessitated, in some cases, shorter-term turnarounds than we would be used to. I would also like to add, it is not necessarily the school committee's prerogative to look at a line item and tell operationally the superintendent of schools to take it in or out. Certainly, the finance committee can make recommendations, and they did, which is what has gotten us to this point. And then the entire committee voted to delay the process further. I completely understand. And I assure you, next year, this will be different. But I would urge folks to move forward simply because we have an opportunity to keep more of the individuals based on the generosity of last week.
Brian, with all due respect, and I absolutely understand what you are saying. I think there are a number of us who question different things starting in February. It didn't take emails and letters from the field.
Then as you said, where were you? I would offer that too. Because these are now the questions that are coming. Again, Julie sent 15 items. We went through each one of them. We found one that was a double salary counted that was included in last week's presentation. Truly, we are at the 11th hour. I truly hope folks at this table can understand that.
The other thing I want to add before I call on Kim is...
Or Nancy.
Or Nancy, yeah, right. Okay, very good, hold on. Is that this is the first time in many, many years, I can't even say how many, we've actually had our eyes on a line-by-line budget. We haven't seen a line-by-line budget in at least 3, 4.
That's not true.
Well, but it is. I sat in the audience asking for line-by-line budgets, and we never were given them. So it's been many years in my experience.
All right.
Okay, I'll just say that, but let me go on and call on Nancy and Kim, and we'll come back, Bonnie. Nancy, go ahead.
A couple of things. One, I think that we have been set to approve a budget that is, as everybody knows, it's not ideal. The process has not been ideal by any stretch, but it does support the district. It supports the kids in the district. It supports people working in the district as best could be pulled together for this upcoming year. That to be discussing things that could be done differently, I think is important, but I think it's not pertinent to this budget right now, only insofar as we need to get these to the towns, and it's up to the towns to decide whether they're going to approve the budget for their, or not. At this point, I think that we are showing very little concern, or it could be seen that we're showing little concern for how the district functions. that it's a functioning district, and that if we do not pass the budget, we can have our complaints, we can work on it differently next year. Certainly Dr. Rika and Julie Hannum have gotten plenty of lists of everything we think sucks in this. But I think that the bulk of the budget works. I think it supports the kids in the district, and that is our job. Our job is to support the district to as best we can. It's not perfect. We send what we think is appropriate, given what we're working with and given the time constraints that we have, to the towns. It is up to the towns to decide whether they're going to do it. I do hope that people will really look at what the budget's job is, despite its imperfections, and approve it so that the business, which is our job, the business of the district going, that the business can function on its own without the state coming in.
Okay, very good. Kim, and then Jim?
Jim, and then, yeah.
And then you?
Yeah.
Okay, Kim?
So I have a couple of things, so before being interrupted, and then you can answer my questions after. I want to address circuit breaker and IDE 240, because I had some lovely phone calls with our representatives who said that we absolutely qualify for those funds, even told me about the lovely relief report that Jonathan Bruno submitted on April 2nd and told us out exactly what we've got, and that he had already, because of the relief report, done 3/4 of the process, so he would be well within the July 13th deadline. Jen was very helpful, along with Patrick and some other people. So I am appalled that we're not even taking in those funds into consideration within the budget, since they are a yearly thing. The calculations are prefigured. We know how much we spend. We get, that's just one. Second, benefits. If we are letting go all these people, a single plan, correct me if I'm wrong, is 21,000, and a family plan is 30, correct? So if we are riffing all these people, whether it's the first budget or the third budget, that 3 million has never moved. And I know from the previous administration, there are other bodies buried in that figure for the just in case we hire somebody, just in case somebody opts into it. So if you cost average those benefits, say 25,000, some have family plans, some don't, and you just say 10 staff that aren't returning, that's 250,000 plus an 8.7% increase. So how are we not tapping into that money? So, I just don't understand why we're not utilizing certain things. And I agree on the raises. I agree that they should be on hold for now. Those raises, it's more than what was back on the memo, because I have gone through the line by line. I also was very disappointed in the sheets were handed out saying, this is the total amount cost. Well, tell me, what is, custodial service cost? What is Sarah's cost? How am I to differentiate what is a necessity and what is not? And those were just handed to us, and I've been reading through everything, and it takes time to process, read through, and ask questions. So right there's a lot of money. And finally, March 26th, and I'm going to reiterate like everybody else, 4 minutes before the meeting, there was a unanimous vote taken that all budget cuts and people were to be put forth in front of us so that we could talk about it. What if some of us said, hey, I don't think we need an administrator in this position? Honestly, I like almost everybody, but there's a couple or one at least, that we probably don't need, in my opinion. And that's all I have to say. But I think with my overall view, that's at least 3 or 4 staff that can come back. Not just what the list you gave us. We need to look at bringing more back, because those are people, those are families. There's students walking around. Maybe it's not the Maddie Caruso or the Alexis Kennedy, but we have students attached to those bodies.
Jim?
I have a question. So there's a motion on the floor, correct?
Yeah, there's a motion to approve on the floor. We're discussing.
All right, so I have a suggestion. There's a motion on the floor to approve a budget. We have spent months just going round and round, you know, and then not every time I come here, I'm sure that there's people, teachers and parents out there who feel the same way. We have a budget, it's been developed, it's been presented. Are we going to go up or down? That's what we need to do.
Now, Amy, and then back to Bonnie.
Although I'm tempted to rehash some things, I'm gonna really try not to, but everyone has great concerns. They would have been best coming out back in, I mean, even though it was as late as the end of January when the Finance Committee first met, that's when these conversations had to happen. So I think that we should learn from this and not let it happen again next year, to begin to have these conversations, looking at everything, asking the questions, et cetera, keeping in mind, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that the school committee does not have any purview over personnel, so there's not too much that we could do anyway in terms of that. Our eyes have been opened very wide this year, mine especially. And there is hopefully nowhere to go but up if we are wise with our steps and our actions. Tonight, it is very clear, I'm gonna echo Nancy, we're here to vote on a budget. And if we do not, we will go to a 112 budget. That we know for certain. Could that have worse effects than what we're looking at right now? It's very possible. That's what we need to be focused on tonight. I'm not saying forget your concerns and your questions. I'm just saying we need to have that conversation a different time, not tonight. There's a goal. I really, really would encourage you, all of us, to work together to meet that goal so that we can move forward and make the best choice for everyone in the room, for everyone in the district, that we can at the moment, given the situation we're in.
Bonnie?
How many people are, well, they're not brought back, but are going? Of the numbers that went up, how many are we still not bringing back?
Well, it was
I don't-
17 FTE
so-
and we brought back 9.
I thought it was
Right.
21.5.
Well, but those-
There
there
was
were
attrition.
Retirement
There
and attrition was in there
Correct.
as
And
well.
how
that's-
many was that?
5.
Yeah, 5 for retirement and
Yep.
attrition.
So it was,
So, yeah, kind of starting by 17 that are here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's about where I was gonna be, so I think we're at about 8, given that?
That happened.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
8?
what was that?
yeah. I don't know.
And of
Oh,
the
I think she
people-
said she couldn't hear.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Of
why I
the
said 8.
people who you're planning on bringing back, they just get to apply for.
Correct. So the only individual on that list, there's one person.
Right.
So, and they'll all be internal postings, so hypothetically, someone who's internally could be interested in that open position and could also apply, there would be potentially more dominoes.
Carl?
Two things. And I think neither of them are budget issues per se. Well, one definitely is not, but the first one sort of is. But it has to do with what I regard as a continuing and unfortunate lack of transparency in many of the things that go on in this district. This attachment, which says reinstated FY27 positions, it doesn't say reinstated FY27 people. There's a difference between a position and a person. And only one of the people who was given notice that they are no longer on the staff of the Southern Berkshire Regional School District, only one of those people has been guaranteed rehiring. None of the others have been.
That's the negotiated agreement we live with.
That's,
Well,
what did you say?
No, no.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm not objecting to the fact that that's the law. Those are the rules. But I want to know why it was not possible to have a footnote on the bottom of this sheet of paper saying, these are reinstated positions, they are not reinstated staff members. There is only one reinstated staff member. The others will be able to apply. I think that for some of those people who are not reinstated but are able to apply for the reinstated position, that may be very small comfort to them that they can reapply, but they still don't have a job. So as of June 4th, tomorrow, and maybe even July 1st, and maybe even next September, there's only one of those people that's been riffed that knows they have a job back here. And that's, and I think that's unfortunate, and I think it is endemic to the way this district has been operating, in that transparency is regarded as a problem, not an advantage. Next, and I fully expect the chair is going to cut me off on this, and cutting me off on this will kind of guarantee that I vote no on the budget, but go ahead. Last meeting, on May 28th, I left the meeting and and encountered an appalling scene just outside the main entrance to the high school, or to the school, not the high school, the school. And it was a student not only in tears, but beside herself, a high school student, the daughter of one of the members of this committee, and she was hyperventilating. Her face was all splotchy, and the reason for that was a vulgar, and I mean vulgar, comment made about her mother, a committee member, by a teaching member of this school. And I can go on. I can tell you the word that was used, and I researched the word in the OED, in the OED in Collins.
Are we coming back to the topic of the budget?
No, we're not. That's why I expect you to cut me off.
Well,
but I think this matter has not been dealt with, and if it isn't dealt with,
yeah, the problem, Carl, yes, I agree. There's been some appalling things that have happened. I agree with you,
If you knew, if you even know this.
I didn't witness it. I didn't even know about it until I was practically in my car out the door. I didn't know or see. I was in the auditorium with the secondary event
If someone
after the last meeting.
is unwilling to say,
we were in the cafeteria.
I was in the cafeteria, yes. I'm sorry.
Maybe if we were all in the cafeteria, then that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, Carl, I know that you are unhappy about all of that, but it is my job to try to keep us on topic.
Well, okay, I mean, I understand. I think it is now that some people may not know about it, and I think if people knew about it, it would be acted upon. But if we want to limit this conversation, not to governance, but to dollars and cents, then stop me. And I said, you will guarantee my vote on this, on the motion.
Carl, it's not a problem that we need to talk about the issue. It's that we're staying focused on the motion, and it can be addressed in another time if we need to do that.
Okay, I've given you my view on it.
Nancy and then Bonnie, please.
I think that the subject that Carl brings up does need to be addressed, but not in this. I think there are a lot of issues that have come up in this year's how we work together, and with it's been a mess. But I do think that this is not the place for it. This is a budget meeting. I think that to put in a question for that to be a topic of conversation in the future agenda, I think in many would be a good idea. With that in mind, because this is a budget discussion, we've had lots and lots of discussion, and we're starting to go around in circles. I would like to call it question.
Okay, Nancy has called the question. Is that a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made to call the question. So let us vote on calling the question. Nancy?
Yes.
Bonnie?
No.
Carl?
No.
Amy?
Yes.
Miguel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Kim?
No.
Art?
No.
And Julie is yes. So 5-4, we will call the question.
Julie, may I just bring up one piece of information?
Is it related to budget, or is it
Yes,
something else?
No, it's totally related to budget.
All right, and then we are going to vote because the question has been
Right.
called. That will be the last
Right.
piece.
I just want people to know, if you go on a 1/12 budget, does not mean that you are on it for, it could be a month. It doesn't mean that you're on a 1/12 for a year, 6 months, or whatever. So it could just be there are issues you want to deal with, and it gets done in a month. That's all my piece of information.
Yeah, no, because that was the one thing, I'm sorry. So the only thing, as chair, I agree, the 1/12, it does not mean you're on it forever. The one thing is, if we do pass this budget tonight, the sooner we get to post and call back the 9 people that are on the list that are wondering whether they may be able to have a position. We could possibly have people reinstated before the end of the month. I mean, that could start to remedy in terms of the benefits. That can all be reassessed. The school committee could make a transfer if this budget passes. We're able to hire back more people. We get good revenue numbers from the state, and we see that we have more aid or more of something that we didn't necessarily plan for. There could be another wave of callbacks. By doing the delay, we are risking that opportunity, and that's the only thing that I would say. But at this point, we have called.
And the towns, don't forget the towns. Don't forget the towns have to go on to it.
Yeah, and yes, we do need. Yeah, and we I think our towns have watched us struggle through this whole season, and it would be nice to give them that opportunity to vote.
That's your opinion.
But it is my opinion, yeah. I took the liberty of sharing
Didn't we
my
call the
opinion.
question?
That's right. We're calling the question. So the motion is on the floor. The motion was made by Jim, seconded by Amy, to approve our FY27 budget and the FY27 assessments, which I will not read again, that are printed on our agenda. So let us now take that vote. Nancy?
Yes.
Yes. Bonnie?
No.
Carl?
No.
Amy?
Yes.
Miguel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Kim?
No.
Art?
No.
And Julie is yes. Because by our regional agreement, we needed a 2/3 vote of the full number of committee, which is 10, even though there's only 9 in our body right now. We needed 7 votes to pass. This budget has failed 5-4. I feel like it's a very sad day for our district at this point. I absolutely do. Before we go, though, we have public comment.
Yep.
Before we have public comment, are the members are allowed to say anything?
Well, we voted. I don't think so.
You don't think,
It
doesn't work like that.
We have taken our vote, so, unless we want to try to amend or reconsider, we could consider that as well. But the next on the agenda is public comment. Kim?
Well, I don't know what it would fall under, but I think, and I've talked to a couple people in various towns, and I understand they need a budget. I also understand that staff is very important to them and bringing more back. And I think even though we, like Bonnie said, only have to be on it for a month or 2 months at the most. And I know it inconveniences the town governance, but there's a lot of non-transparency and a lot of other stuff, like I found out today about circuit breaker and ID 240 and things that we were told that we don't qualify for, that we do, that what I would like to, excuse me, I'm talking, that I would like to see more transparency. I would like to see the budget reworked a little, and it wouldn't take that long to do so. Why can't we strip the benefits a little? There's no reason we need to have that in there. You're telling me we're gonna go back out and hire that many people after we just riffed that many people? I mean,
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think,
I do think before we leave tonight, we will need to have a plan to try to figure out, so we will have to amend our agenda. But let's hear what the public has to say, and perhaps we can amend our agenda to make a plan for what we're going to do. All right.
Well, I had prepared words before, but I don't have.
You need to identify
prepared
yourself,
words.
please.
Connie Cooper, Spring Hollow Lane, Sheffield. I'm just appalled at all of this. This has been going on for months and months. You've all had time to ask your questions. You've had years, some of you have been on this committee for years and years. You should know what's in these accounts. From what I've heard, these are my first meetings I've been to this year. I don't know that you haven't had a line item budget, but you have it this year. You have more than you've had. And from the bickering that goes on here, it's just, this is a personality contest. It doesn't matter how many versions of the budget you will be presented with. 4 will vote against and 5 will vote for. That's just where we are. Nothing is going to change. There is nothing to guarantee that the state won't be here for a year or more. You won't be happy with anything. Let the school district do their jobs. Give them a budget. And no matter how you act here, the towns look at this and say, what is going on there? They can't get anything together. The towns have given you an opportunity to get this budget together. 5 towns said, we'll have a second town meeting. It's unheard of. And and you still can't work together and get your jobs done. This is a total embarrassment. I feel very sorry for everybody working in the district. It's a horrible position to be in, but changes are being made constantly, except on this committee. You're the only ones not changing. 4 against 5 forever, no matter what you do.
Thank you. Please do hold applause.
Josh King, I'm just lost for words at where we're at, and the fact that you had the opportunity today. It didn't matter if we brought back, we weren't going to be able to bring back everybody, but you had the opportunity today to bring back 9. And now those 9 people have to start looking. And you've lost a lot of good people. You're losing families that send their kids here. And I can name all the teachers I had from kindergarten all the way on. They mattered. School committee is supposed to care about the kids. Instead, we fight. We bring up things that happen, addressing that issue that happened last time. If someone doesn't leave and follow the man out, nothing gets said. But we ignore that stuff. And this is just embarrassing. But don't worry, we'll approve a new fire truck, we'll approve a town building, we'll buy 3 parcels of land for things. We'll do all the things except care about the kids. So I feel sorry for us as families that have kids here. And it really makes you consider whether or not you send your kids here, because you guys can't even get along. Every day I come to work, it's for the kids. It's for the kids. That's it. That's why I work. But, don't worry. I'm a teacher. I get summers off. But, apparently, this is my job, being dirty. Again,
folks, please do try to hold.
Hi, I wasn't going to talk. My name's Courtney English. I'm the band teacher. I also do the theater. I wasn't going to speak, but I was shocked. I was talking to someone else. So I don't know if you can do a revote, but we're the ones talking to the kids every day, and they're saying, what about the chorus? What about this? What about them? So can we figure this stuff out in the next 3 months and just change your vote? More people are going to be fired. Let's just fix this. So fix it for the kids, please. Kids first, not this.
Hi, Tara White, New Marlboro, and I'm speaking as a resident, not as a member of a town board. I had this all written tonight. You guys just shot it to hell. It really, most of this, other than the first sentence that says, what is happening this year with the school budget has been frustrating and exhausting. We are exhausted. You're exhausted, the town's exhausted, the staff is exhausted. This has been really difficult, and it happened. We have to fix it. We now know how to fix it. I was hoping that tonight's meeting would fix it, but it appears that's not what's going to happen. Simply about the towns, I just want to throw this out, and I know some people are not going to be happy about this, but when we think of both the school budget, we have to think about town budgets too, because they do interact with each other. Towns have the same costs as the school district does. They have, and sometimes in some instances, more costs for items. So it's difficult for all of us to know that we don't have the money to support our teachers and to support the kids the way we want to. And in the same vein, on the other end, there are the town people, the town fathers of each town, of the 5 towns, that need to look at providing emergency services and fire service and taking care of the roads and so on and so forth. This has to be a collaborative event, so everybody has to be talking to each other. And I think some of that didn't happen because I think there's a disconnect between sometimes knowing what the towns have for expenses and the school district has for expenses. This crisis isn't going away. Neither is it going away for the towns. It's not going away for the school district. Towns had to file Prop 2.5 overrides to pay their budget. I mean, the costs are there, the costs are going to increase, and they're going to increase across the board for everybody. So my last statement was, if we pass the budget tonight, was, when we complete the process this year with the district's budget, there needs to be immediate work on figuring out the future and what that looks like going forward. We can't pick and choose what we want and don't want to discuss. We need to put everything on the table for discussion, and that likely will not be popular in some instances. If this district is to survive, then the hard work and decisions will need to be done sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Class of 2000 is behind me, and I was amazed last week that there were probably 9 kids from the class of 2020 here. I mean, that was the COVID class. You guys didn't even have graduation and you were here. And it's things like, I'm Joanne Duvall, by the way.
I was just going to say, you need to identify yourself there,
Special
Joanne.
education teacher. I have a daughter who is also a 3rd grade teacher here, who was one of the ones who received a notice. She's been hanging on to the slim hope that she was going to get a job here. Again, next year. I talked to a few people, tried to kind of gauge whether she should be looking for a job, kind of told her she should look for a job. We've had one upset girl at home. She's still living with us. She came back to the school system because she said, this is home. I don't know how she's done this year. She's at the other side of the building from me. But I hear from people that she's done a great job. I have to go home tonight and tell her now she's got to look for another job. She's watched other people look for jobs and get them in the last week. We've had people going for job interviews. If you think you're going to hire back the staff that you just gave notices to, it's not going to happen. We can't hold our lives. She can't hold her life, and this is what I'm going to tell her as a mom. You cannot put your life on hold, even though you love the people here, you love the school here, you love your kids, and you love what you've been doing. You can't put your life on hold for this. You have to go for that job interview. You have to go get that other job. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the fact that a budget goes from the superintendent to the finance committee. You're supposed to pick it apart in finance committee. That's where you ask the things about the line items. That's where you cut things. I'm on a finance committee. It's a town finance committee, so it's a little different. But that's when you bring all these things up to the superintendent. I didn't see that. I went to the finance committee meetings this year. I didn't see that. Now, maybe people sent him emails, but I didn't see that in the meeting. You're supposed to go from finance committee to here. You're supposed to then ask your questions. Why aren't you laying off an administrator? Why aren't you cutting that line item? You didn't ask any of those questions. He said, I'm going to lay off staff, and you didn't even ask who and how that affects everybody. You didn't even ask that question. How does laying off a 3rd grade teacher help you? Why didn't you lay off this person or that person? Why did you lay off a chorus teacher? Maybe you would have gotten an answer that said, oh, well, we can cover chorus. We've done that. But you didn't ask the questions. Come on, get this going. I mean, I don't know. I'm disappointed.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Enoch. I'm a resident of Monterey, and I'm a graduating class of 2020 from Mount Everett. This is my first time coming to a meeting, and I'm going to be honest, when I came here, I wasn't entirely sure what all the details were about. I don't understand all these technical little details, and I know I want to, which is one of the reasons why I came here. But I am a student at Wellesley College, which is a very prestigious liberal arts school. In fact, most people go take classes at MIT for their science credit because it's easier at MIT than it is at Wellesley. It's a very serious school. And I went there and I was surrounded by so many students, so many wonderful students that were from all over the world, who came from the top private schools, who had private tutors, people who just blew me away. And I never once felt lesser because I went to a small public school in the middle of nowhere. In fact, I would tell my friends about the great stories I had, the opportunities that Mount Everett gave to me, and they assumed I went to some big private school. I said, no, tiny school, middle of nowhere. And I just remember the trips. I've been to the Galapagos Islands twice in my life because of this school. I have found my love of music. I've been encouraged to continue to sing. I have been coming to this school because I am home right now, because I'm struggling with my mental health. And when I talk to my former teachers, they inspire me to this day still. And they believe in me still. I'm a graduate, I've been gone, but they believe in me and they support me. And all I know tonight is that I'm standing here and I don't feel supported anymore. And I don't quite understand what needs to be done for the budget and all the motions, but I can feel in this room the anger and the sadness. And I think I'm going to walk away with that feeling, and that makes me disappointed and a little embarrassed that this school has not made me proud anymore. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maddie Caruso. I was the chorus teacher until I was laid off, and apparently I am not going to be hired back anytime soon. I'm extremely disappointed. I understand that there are budget issues. I think we all understand that. What I cannot understand is the lack of insight from what I've heard tonight, the lack of foresight, the things that I have read on the pamphlets that have been sent out that were not understood by the people who have power in this district. That is extremely disappointing to me. I think the students understand that this is what happened tonight, and there's no hiding it. I think that they're gonna know, and they're gonna be just as disappointed as I am. And I think if anyone has believed that they were saving face tonight, I think you have failed. Yeah, I didn't expect to be speaking. I thought the budget was going to pass. I really did. But obviously I was wrong. So.
Thank you to Sarah Sickett. Thank you to Elizabeth, who just spoke as a student. There aren't words. There are heavy hearts that our board would decide to take us in this direction. And instead of looking at those positions that could have returned tonight, the behavior is appalling. We wouldn't allow it in our classrooms. We wouldn't allow it in meetings in our towns. The fact that it is allowed here tonight is a true embarrassment. If we're talking about the budget and people are allowed to go off on tangents about personal matters while sitting at this table, they should be ashamed. If you aren't here for our kids, then please step down and make room for those who want to step up and help education in our community. We understand that there's a budget crisis. We understand positions have to be cut, but each and every one of you who voted no need to go talk to Alexis and Maddie and every other person who you did not return tonight because your personal issues got in our way. You harmed my kids tonight, and there is absolutely no excuse for your bad behavior. This is not a personal matter. Step off this board if you cannot stop behaving like the adults that we elected and expected. I am embarrassed. And more than that, you ought to be looking at us right now. You are accountable.
Two quick things. There was discussion at the beginning of this meeting about an email that was inadvertently sent to this committee that was a violation of open meeting law. Well, I would like an investigation as to how a reply to that email was not also a violation of open meeting law. And I don't really think that it was in, saying that he was acting above board and pointing out. By also responding back, I don't like the tone of the email of the response. I found that it was degrading and embarrassing, and that's not what you do to colleagues. Sits there and shake a head and we pretend that we're above everybody. But if you are going to respond to one person's mistake, that to me seems like a second mistake, and maybe you should be calling to see how you should report your actions for responding. Secondly, not only are staff looking for jobs, and that when we finally get this under control, and Bonnie, you can say it might be a month, but when the state comes to take over, an apology is not going to fix it. Because there is no guarantee that a budget is going to go through and that the state is not going to take over, because that is what happens when you go to a 1/12. So they are going to take over, and you might not be running this school because you might be off at the next election series, but the rest of us are going to have to deal with your consequences. We will not have the same staff available because they're looking. Newsflash, the budget's not going to get easier because we're not going to have the same student body either. They are already telling me that they are leaving. I'm currently a 5th grade teacher. Anybody who watches this chaos and this disorganization, who in their right mind would continue to trust us with their children? You just voted down bringing back some of their teachers. You sit here and argue when you're supposed to be looking out for their best interest. They're going to leave, which means the assessment that you voted at 6%, when you have less student population, it's going to cost more to educate the fewer students that we have. And the math is not getting any better, folks. Less pupils, still same operating budgets, less staff. You've got to figure out, this is not solving our long-term problem. We voted not to consolidate with Berkshire Hills. So we're not super sporty spices. My kids were able to do everything they wanted to do in this building. I graduated from here. My parents retired from here. I've worked here 30 years. I live a mile down the road. I'm not going anywhere. I've never seen it like this. Not in 30 years. Not in my parents' tenure. I had Julie as a teacher. Biochem. Some of us are long-term. We're not going anywhere. But our current students are. We voted as a town on a special town election to not join Berkshire Hills. Well, you're going to kill us because we're not going to have any students back because they're going to go up the road. Your decisions have consequences, but I'm the one who's going to have 30 kids in the class, and I'm going to have to live with your decisions. So if you think it's so easy, get on the sub list and come check it out and see what the difference is between 18 in a room and 26. I've had both. I don't want to have to live with your bad decisions. And I'm also appalled that when a question is called, discussions can still happen. You're talking about the budget. I have a timer. If you can't stay on topic and talk about the budget, if we can't rein in this committee from looking like chaos and disorganization, no, it's not just the state who's saying that we look like a hot mess. It's everybody. We got to get it together.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Not unless you want to revote. Can we call it?
Well.
Oh, here comes Bob.
Hold on, one more public comment.
Not that I want to have a public comment. Bob Kilmer, Selectman Sheffield, here as a resident, speaking on my own behalf, not as the board. I've gotten up here many times, and I've said pretty much the same thing every time. I know people are emotional, they have outbursts that are disrespectful. We are showing all our dysfunction all at once. We had a bad situation, instead of coming together and working it out, taking the hits, upstandingly, we have gone to villainizing and disrespecting and fighting and looking like a bunch of fools. I am so sorry for each and every one of us. We're all pretty much volunteers trying to do a decent job. But somehow we got down in the mud, and we're thinking with emotion and not reason and intelligence and clarity that we should be doing. Most everyone on this board is educated, they're smart, but they're not looking too smart right now. You need to suck it up, put on the big boy pants, and do the right thing. And it's gonna be painful in some spots. We are not efficient as a school system. If we want a small school system, we have to be efficient. If you want a large curriculum, you have to be efficient. You can't have extra transportation. You can't have outlying schools that are pulling administration and transporting back and forth between them. I could go on. We all know what the issues are, but we're not solving the issues. We're just pointing fingers, villainizing, and not getting anything done. So please, let's hit a reset. Try to put some of the baggage behind us. The last administration is gone. Whatever happened then is history. We're not to forget history, but we are not to just go back and keep hammering it. It's over. Move forward. Please. Thank you.
Amy?
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider a vote.
Oh, okay, we have that. Well, we have another public comment. Let's.
Not too late.
No, go ahead.
This is the school committee ethics thing they gave out, and second section, number 1, is that the primary responsibility is to the children. I would just speak, those of you that know when I coach soccer, when I speak in public, I cry, but we'll get through it. I just think that with the vote that happened tonight, you're not looking at the children. You have the chance to bring 9 people back. School committee members and community members have said there's students attached to these people that if you don't bring them back now, you lose the chance to bring them back, I think somebody else said. And I think that sounds like you have the opportunity to change the agenda, and I strongly urge you to re-vote on this, thinking about the children. Bringing back those people that children are attached to, which you all seem to agree to, and said that. And I think you just have the opportunity to, sounds like you can amend the agenda, bring those people back, because again, it's what's best for the children.
Given that one of the teachers that you riffed is one of the ones who won my scholarship way back when, Carly, and listening to Elizabeth.
Could you speak a little louder?
Yes. Given that one of the RIF teachers is one who won my future teacher's scholarship a number of years ago, and listening to Elizabeth and knowing how much I encouraged her with Wellesley and what she's through, I don't know anything other than I'd like to make a motion. It's clear that a lot of people, our issues are not disappearing. But today is today, and I'd like to make a motion to reconsider.
Second.
Discussion. Okay. A motion's been made and seconded that we will reconsider the budget vote.
Yes.
Yes.
May I speak to it?
What's that?
May I speak to the motion that I made?
Yes, and then Kim.
All right. I'm doing this not because my view has changed on my issues. And I won't be here next year to do what you have to do. But hopefully we're using this as a serious wake-up call. And I think we have to involve the community when we do our re-examination of our goals, etc., in July. We've gotten ourselves into a horrendous situation. But I want us to bring back the teachers in the next 5 minutes that we can, and hopefully as the other things appear that Kim brought up, it'll enable us to bring back more and we will not have to wait. So that's my reasoning.
Okay. Kim?
Are we allowed to amend the budget while we're on the floor?
Well, probably, but I mean, this, right now, the motion is to reconsider. So we'll do the motion to reconsider, and then we would have to take a motion to approve the budget.
Right.
And then it could be discussed or amended or whatever. Yeah, that is, sure, that's allowable. Yeah, Miguel?
I was just gonna say, in the last meeting, I did recommend E&D savings of $100,000. And I've heard a couple members in today's meeting describe how we could still go nitpick and go through the budget and find things that could benefit us and add to our bottom line. I still am of the mind that if we choose $100,000 in E&D savings, we can bring back a couple more teachers. And in fact, there probably are a few places where we can nip and tuck and make that difference up. So, I mean, that's what I would recommend.
A question, maybe Brian, you know it. If we reconsider and pass the budget between today and next week's meeting, we can make adjustments if it turns out more of this money we're waiting for comes in or not.
From your past practice, somebody told me amendments were made on the floor at town meeting last year. My goal tonight is to get something to the towns so that they can schedule their select and finance committee meetings, and we can get town meetings scheduled before July 1st.
Yes.
So that we can know the answer. What you do beyond that is entirely up to you. We would obviously have to involve council to be sure that we do it correctly. We need to get this moving.
That's my motion to reconsider.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, if we wanted to massage within, as long as we're not affecting assessments.
As far as I know,
right?
that's correct.
That's correct.
But we have to go.
Yeah. Okay, so Carl.
Well, I think I get a sense that Bonnie would change her vote.
You've got a sense.
If the three of the four of us do not, you get the same result. So I think that if you want to get a positive result, i.e. 7 people voting for the budget, Kim should be the one who is listened to about amending the budget here before it's put to another vote. Because what's going to happen if it's put to another vote and it's voted down? More invective from the crowd. Some people, Ms. Carpenter suggested that I should file a complaint against me. I didn't violate the open meeting law because it requires a deliberation, and that wasn't a deliberation. But, you can think whatever you want. But it is not the idea that if we didn't vote for the budget, we don't care about the kids. There's no connection there. Some people think we care more about the kids if we voted down the budget. So there can be grumbling, well, you don't think about the kids, you should get off the committee. Well, they'll have their wish. I'm not going to be on the committee as of November. Bonnie's not going to be on the committee. But the notion of that screaming at us is going to do anything. Shooting me may do something, but screaming at me won't.
Not allowed, Carl. I mean, the shooting part. But anyway, yeah.
So why don't you accept Kim Alcantara's suggestion that perhaps a slightly different budget than the one we are presented with tonight may change the minds of 2 people or 3 or 4 that voted for it, rather than have a revote with the same result and increase the venom that's flowing around.
Carl, we will have Kim's discussion when we get to vote on the budget again. We're voting on whether to reconsider.
Call the question.
So What?
Can we call the
Yeah,
question?
you can
and
call
vote
the question on
I'd
the
like to-
reconsideration.
yes, I'd like to.
Okay, so the question's been called, are we going to reconsider our vote? That's what we're voting on, all right? Will
I'm
we
calling the
reconsider?
question,
On-
is what
Yes, right now, we're calling the question, then we're gonna vote to reconsider.
Right.
And then we'll put another motion out. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, calling the question, Bonnie,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Yes.
Miguel. Jim. Kim.
Yes.
Art.
Yes.
Yes. Nancy.
Yes.
Yes. Julie, yes. The question has been called. So now will we consider our budget adoption vote? Bonnie.
Yes.
Carl.
Well, can you repeat the question, please? I was daydreaming.
Now
Or night dreaming.
now we're voting to reconsider. We voted to call the question, now we're voting to reconsider.
Yes.
Yes. Amy?
Yes.
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 Miguel?
Yes.
Yes. Kim? Yes. Art?
Yes.
Yes. Nancy? Yes. I think you said yes.
Yes.
Yes, and Julie, yes, we reconsider. So now we can entertain a new motion regarding the FY '27 budget. Bonnie?
I move,
Right back with you. Okay, good, Dylan.
I move that the Southern Berkshire Regional School District School Committee approve the FY '27 operating transportation and capital budget as follows. 27 budget operating expenditure budget, $18,667,822. Transportation expenditure budget, $2,245,927. Capital expenditure budget, $156,750. Capital project bond repayment, $300,900. Total expenditure budget, $21,371,399. FY '27 assessments. Operating assessment, $15,433,579. Transportation assessment, $917,319. Capital assessment, $156,750. Capital project assessment, $300,900. Total assessment, $16,808,548. That'd be it.
That'd be it. Somebody gonna second that? Okay, Bonnie and Amy? Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded that we approve the budget as stated. And now, Kim?
I'd like to make an amendment to that. I would like that between benefits, raises, circuit breaker, IDE, EA 240, school choice money, E&D, that we find enough, because I know we can do it, because I know what's in these accounts and where we can find it, to bring back 4 more staff positions for the budget.
Okay, okay, so the amendment's there, but will you state those categories again, please? Benefits?
The benefits,
Yep,
the E&D, raises for administration, circuit breaker, IDEA 240, school choice money, which somebody brought up that we get 5,000 per kid.
okay, and you seconded that?
I seconded it.
To bring back 4? Is that what?
I would like to see at least 4 more staff member return.
For
I would like more.
For additional.
For additional staff member. I would like to see more if we can crunch our belts, but I'd like to be guaranteed at least 3.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, an amendment has been made by Kim and it was seconded by Bonnie.
Do you want me to put a figure on it? Do we have to put a figure on it? Because I can.
No, I don't think so, because it'd be hard, I mean, you can adjust, you're right, between benefits, E&D, admin raises, circuit breaker, IDEA. I just want to make sure we capture the categories properly.
Does Julie have all the categories?
I think so.
Yeah.
We could throw in administrator if we want, but I was being nice.
Well, I think, we'll look at all of this. All right, so it's amended and seconded, and Carl, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want someone to read. The original motion made by Bonnie
Yep.
has not been withdrawn. It's
No.
been
Correct.
amended.
Right.
And the request for, and the motion to amend has been seconded, yes?
Correct, me.
Yes.
Right. Okay, and now we have discussion on that,
So we'll have
correct?
discussion on the amendment and
Okay.
vote on the
Okay,
amendment
thank you.
part. So discussion on the amendment. Bonnie?
I'll make Kim has spent morning, noon, and night, and the middle of the night on examining and looking for ways to increase what we can bring back in terms of personnel by examining different parts of the budget. The only thing that I would like to be considered, and Kim, I defer to you here totally, if when Brian sits down with it, the numbers, you're gonna give the total numbers, do not jive with what you come up with. You know, I think we have to consider the possibility that that may not bring back for more people.
Thank you.
Correct.
So maybe we could say
3 to 4?
3 to up, right.
3 to 4, yeah. I mean, I do think there's potential with benefits personally.
Yes, yeah.
I do think that, you know, there could be. We can crunch a little tighter on that,
I
but
think we can crunch a little tighter.
some of
on
the
several
others, the
areas.
circuit breaker, as I
The
understand,
circuit
has been
breaker and IDEA
applied.
has been applied. TJ and Jen have repeated this ad nauseum, so I would offer that that not be considered as part of the amendment. TJ is back on. Could you speak to this, TJ, for the umpteenth time?
Because they were saying we didn't qualify.
Yes, circuit breakers and IDEA, where are they applied?
The concern, I understand what the communities are going through, what the school committee's going through, and I really want to, if we can find a way, and if we want to go the route of the House or the Senate budget, or ultimately the conference committee budget, as a way, circuit breaker, we've looked at, it's all part of the budget. All the IDEA grants and all the entitlement grants are all accounted for as 85% of the grant as stated by the Commonwealth. If that comes in differently, that's a different conversation. So I would not caution, but just
please caution.
School committee, you guys as a board take a vote of do we want to run the risk of the governor's budget versus the House budget? Do we want to run the risk of the Senate budget versus the House and the governor's budget? Do we think the Congress is going to come out $82,000 more? There are just serious considerations that need to be had.
What about the benefits
So we've been very conservative by choice.
Yep.
I recognize that. And this is a very passionate debate. Fully recognize that. I've been through this before and it is zero fun had. But generally speaking, yes, there may be other opportunities to claw back. And yes, the speakers have been phenomenal tonight. There's maybe an impact in the district of, all right, well, I'm not coming back to Southern Berkshire because I'm just going to go somewhere else because I'm in a job. I'm not guaranteed a callback. Having said that, we know the budget as it exists and put out there tonight is something we can live with. If the committee decides they want all E&D, fine. We'll have to figure that out in future fiscal years. So there's a whole iteration of decisions that need to be made. So you want all 933? Great, take all 933 and bring it back, and that's a temporary stopgap measure. And if everything gets better and the Commonwealth gets better, they improve the rural aid, they improve the transportation, then those are all this is the debate. This is the crux of it. So we've accounted for the grants, we've accounted for circuit breaker. Now there's extraordinary relief for circuit breaker that has been applied for. There's other little pockets, but they're not guaranteed. And I think that is what the administration is kind of, we're trying to say is like, let's do everything we know.
Correct.
And again, crystal ball, I don't have. Do I think the House and Senate, they're very, very close, are gonna, come on top in conference committee? Yes. Do I think the governor's gonna sign it? Yes. Can I say that definitively? No. And that is what we're trying to hedge against. And when you're putting people's livelihoods and families and, food on the table, whatever you want to call it, in jeopardy, none of us take this lightly. Like, none of us have. And we've debated it, we've gone through it, we've recalled a bunch of positions to say, hey, let's do this, let's do this. There aren't much more in my world that I can recommend to the administration and the school committee as it relates to this. And yes, it's a little wiggle room. There's some. Is it for everybody? Is it going to get everyone back? I don't know. Could it? Sure. Do we run a risk? I don't know. That's not my call. That's your call. But generally speaking, we have run this budget as tightly as possible so many freaking times. And I don't mean to sound that obnoxious, but like, we've done it so many times. And Brian and I and the team met earlier today, and we're going through it again and saying, okay, what are we missing? What can we do differently? What else can be there? We talked about holding E&D, $200,000 back just in case there's a catastrophic emergency. We're talking about capital, moving a little bit of money to pay for the energy costs because energy costs are spiraling. So, generally speaking, I think this budget should pass. I think it should go to the towns and let the towns vote and decide what they think. We've been, I think, way more honest and upfront. Like, we've been very upfront about what this all means, what this all looks like. And, the 6% assessment is what we backed into based upon the vote of the school committee a month ago, and here we are. And we are clawing back based upon E&D and based upon other decisions. Is there a little bit more money to be had? Yes. Are there a few more cuts to be had? Sure. That is not a call that an architect will make.
Right.
That is a call that the school committee will make.
What about the issue that Kim brought up?
Hold on, Bonnie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on, Bonnie, just because I know Kim's had her hand up and then,
I just have a couple questions for you, too.
yeah, if you don't mind.
No, not at
Kim,
all.
yeah.
Not at all. TJ, how much is in the budget for raises all across the board?
Oh, jeez.
$200,000.
$200,000 in raises?
The teachers, well,
Is the teachers, not the teachers, just,
well, you said
I
raises.
understand what you're asking.
Yes, not the teachers.
Honestly, Kim, I'm not prepared for that level of detail. I can get it for you and get it for the committee.
I never did stuff.
Like, I don't have it up in front of me to say, it is X, it is Y. I thought this was a vote up or down based on the appropriation.
I was gonna say, I mean, we can go through the line by line and kind of figure that out if you really want to do that, but I mean, he doesn't.
Before we leave
hit
tonight,
that.
I would like to see some more jobs restored and the budget passed.
I just want to point out, as TJ said, we're not going to find it in circuit breaker and IDEA.
That's fine.
So
Yeah.
we can look at other places, but then at the risk of asking for another amendment, circuit breaker and IDEA should not be part of the motion, because he has just explained
Yeah.
for the umpteenth time that we have applied all of the grants that we have available to us that we know of. Circuit breaker has been applied, school choice has been applied, IDEA has been applied. TJ, correct?
100%, yes.
But you have benefits.
So we can look at benefits, but asking us to go through an exercise that we have gone through now 5 times, limited to benefits. We can make some reductions in benefits. It was a joint decision to go conservatively. It has been my decision to base the budget on what we have, based on what has happened here in the past. not looking at assumptions.
No, I'm
And
looking,
I'm simply saying.
Madam Chair, or Mr. Superintendent, can I just make one more comment? about
Yeah, yes, one, thank you.
That is a very valid point. But until you realize who you're bringing back and who you're not bringing back, who's on a family plan, who's not on a family plan, you just can't make an assumption that you can reduce, say, $150,000 out of benefits. Now, yes, you can, once you know that this is happening.
okay.
So that's the point. I understand there's money in benefits. I'm trying to build a budget under which we actually know. We're not building it on assumptions. We're not building it on grants we think we're gonna get. We're not building it on what we think is gonna happen in the conference committee. We are building it on what we know. So if I were to take a swipe at benefits, hire back these 9 people, and be short in benefits, that's a problem. So I don't want to just say, find the money in benefits to hire 3 or 4 more people back. I don't think that's a reasonable approach. I get the frustration here. I do. But we have built this with open architects on facts, not assumptions, not presumptions, not projections. Are there other places? Sure. But we do not have all of the time. Somebody said it there. This should have been done by the Finance Committee through January, February, March, April, May.
Okay, so going back to the issue of benefits.
Yes.
You would be, assuming, let's say, you hire 3 more people back, and then you could look at all the benefits, you would be able to reduce for the ones who are not coming back.
Let me remind.
Yes, remind me.
If we say we're hiring 3 more people, those are 3 more postings.
Right.
I only know 1 person is coming back for certain.
Okay.
I can't say,
that makes
gee,
sense.
the person who filled it, it's the position. And it's not, to Mr. Stewart's point, to insult anybody. It's simply to say the position is available and will be
Right.
posted internally.
And you don't know whether it's somebody on a family plan or a
Amen.
single
Thank you.
plan, whatever.
Thank you.
No, but I mean, if
So
we.
I'm going back to Kim to
Yeah,
see.
well, no, and I've been sitting here playing with math. So if we hired 4 people back, that leaves 5 positions at 25,000. That estimate, between single, it's 125,000. You bring back 3, there's 6 benefit packages, maybe 150. It seems to me between benefits and E&D in particular, we could come up with 150 or 200,000 for a couple more people. Can we guarantee? No, you don't know who would be next in the pecking order to come back per the leadership team. So you don't know if it's 3 people or 2 people or 1 in a para or 1 in, we can't make that decision. So I'm a little concerned about saying, 3 to 4, we could say 2 to 4, as much as we can. Or like you were gonna suggest the dollar amount, do we say try to find 150,000 more? I mean, between benefits and E&D, it does run E&D. It goes back to something.
What about the 2 to 4?
Jim has a hand up.
Oh, okay, sorry, Jim.
What's the motion that's on the floor?
The motion on the floor right now is the amendment that we have the motion to approve. Kim made the amendment that we look for, I think it was modified to 3 to 4 additional staff looking at benefits, E&D, admin raises, circuit breaker, and IDEA, and school choice.
Okay, so there's no, the conversation that's happening now, we should have happened in Finance Committee 3 months ago.
Sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if we're going to pass the budget, pass the motion as amended, can we go ahead and do that? And Finance Committee can have this conversation after the fact?
I don't think we're gonna.
Well, this would be internal adjustments,
Yes.
right? It would not be changing assessments.
Correct.
No.
So we can vote to approve the budget tonight, give the assessments to the town, and then, we have a meeting scheduled next Thursday and try to bring back the adjusted bottom line and try to find a couple more people.
Julie,
Positions.
Right, positions.
Right? Hold on, Jim, and then Carl, and then you, Bonnie.
So can we do that? Say,
I-
pass this budget and
I believe so. Yeah, I think,
Not
yeah.
back to finance. You don't need the finance.
No, you don't need
You-
finance.
Right,
And go to the accounts and see what happens.
yes.
Because all of this is just smoke and mirrors until the towns say what they have. But they're-
Well, that's true. That is true. It could, I mean, and we can be working on internal adjustments
Correct.
while the town is working on their assessment and town votes to give us this budget. That's true. It is a two-step. We have to vote and 4 out of 5 have to vote to do it. Carl and then Bonnie, please.
Okay. After having been exiled by a considerable amount of the community to a figurative Elba, I want to thank Kim, who has put in dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours in the last few months for finally being heard and the valuable things that she has to say, and a person who is very invested in this school community. She has 3 students, 3 of her children are students in this school, in this district, and she has finally been listened to, despite all the naysaying that has gone before, and she is the person tonight who is responsible for what I anticipate is the budget being passed. So thank you, Kim.
Bonnie and then Kim.
As well. We work just as hard.
I'm not ever saying you didn't.
I don't think this is a time to blow sunshine.
Thank you.
It's a time to get
Okay, hold it.
I think we need Kevin, we need the Miguel, we need a consensus, because they all have had ideas, and they all have pretty much circled in the same aspect and have hit on the same subjects as the ones that I pointed out. And I think, and like I said, I would like to amend my amendment that we bring back at least 2 to 4 staff.
That's reasonable.
Okay.
I will
Friendly,
second.
will you accept
Go
the
back
2 to
and I
4?
will accept
Okay,
it.
okay, so we have the amendment, and Kim, did you want to leave in, just for clarity, the circuit breaker IDEA, since we know
Well,
it's
if we're
been
gonna
applied
get relief
elsewhere?
money, I mean, if there's no money in it, it doesn't hurt to
It
take
won't
it
matter.
out.
Okay, we're gonna leave that
It
alone.
doesn't hurt to.
Very good.
But if there's relief money, it can be used.
Yeah,
to
we can just leave it in. If it's not there, it's not
It's
there.
not
Fine. So the amendment then, with the friendly change there for number of people, is that we look for 2 to 4 additional staff through the amounts in benefits, E&D, admin raises, circuit breaker, IDEA, and school choice. And unless there's more conversation about that, Bonnie? Oh, wait a minute, Bonnie, and then
I just want to be sure, Brian, I see you could live with hunting for 2 positions.
I think that's
Maybe more.
perfectly reasonable, given the circumstances. I'm not inclined, despite what Miguel has discussed and everyone else has discussed, I'm not inclined to touch E&D. I'm going to be
agree.
focused. So I just want to be transparent and clear. I'm going to be focusing on benefits because I think that is a reasonable way forward. I don't think we should go lower than 200 in E&D because, again, anything that is done is a one-time payment. Like, these are not guarantees for next year for positions.
My original motion was just to try to get someone in addition to me to change a vote, because it's clear that that's what we need to do. And if Kim's, I don't know if it's going to change her vote, but she's okay with it being changed to 2 to 4.
That's what we said.
Okay,
So
so
can I
first
call
we're
the
gonna need,
question
but
on
first we,
four?
well, of course, we'll get as much as we can.
Can I call the question?
And it's the amendment.
Question on the
Amy's,
amendment.
I'd like
Oh,
to
I'm
hear
sorry.
Amy, and then we'll vote the amendment. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right?
All right, I have a quick question. I don't know if this is, Julie, you might know, Brian, you might know, TJ, you might know. I'm hoping it's quick. I'm just wondering where the school choice revenue, is it under the revenue section? Or is it?
It has been applied as an offset.
Applied.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, thank you. We have applied $513,000 as an offset If you look at one of the slides from my last presentation, excuse me, last Thursday, it was school choice and it was $500,000 of E&D. So already in this budget is $1,013,000 of E&D and school choice that came through prior to the 433 additionally being certified last Wednesday. So it is in and being applied.
Okay. And then second question is, and you actually kind of just touched on it, but I really want to make sure I'm crystal clear. We're searching for replacing all of these positions, but we're talking about just for this next year.
Correct.
We will be in this same exact position again next year.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, this is to the structural deficit.
Correct.
That needs to be addressed long term.
So I just want to say that out loud. I think
Yeah.
it's important that everyone hears
So,
that.
yeah, it will be a continuing conversation.
But it'll give
Okay.
us time to work on it.
It will give us time to work on it, that is right, that is right. Okay, so if you're in agreement, maybe we're ready to vote on the amendment?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, Bonnie,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Miguel,
Yes.
Jim, Kim,
Yes.
Art, yes, Nancy, yes, and Julie, yes. Okay, so we have voted our amendment. Next, we will vote on the original motion made by Bonnie, seconded by Amy, to adopt the budget as printed and the assessments as printed.
And I even read it.
And Bonnie reread it, yeah, and, as amended, yes. Well, but, yeah, okay, as amended, I guess I was thinking no numbers change, it's all internal, but yes, we've made that
TJ
amendment.
was saying something.
I'm sorry, TJ, repeat.
No, Madam Chair, I'm just saying, we may, if we're gonna add a little more, and I think E&D is off the table, but if we're gonna reevaluate benefits, if things change, but I agree with you, I think it's all internal, so I don't think it needs to have any major change to the assessments, but, I think we're
Yeah,
all on the same page.
I think we're on the same page.
We're on the same page.
Yes.
We're on the same page, even though none of these numbers will change, or, we can say, we're approving it with the amendment as made.
But with transparency.
What is your best thinking as of June 3rd? And what you're thinking at the time?
Okay.
We're gonna change a little bit based upon enrollment and based upon
My father
other things
loved
that happen. So we're gonna make changes throughout the year.
That's right.
So we might be able to hire, to cement the positions we're adding back in.
We may.
Yeah.
So if we
We
get
may.
money in, it may cement the positions we're
Yeah.
adding back in.
Yeah, and the other consideration was possible reconsideration on House and Senate numbers. That was another, it wasn't
We've
in your
gone through the
amendment,
ways-
but it was made separately.
Historically, we have gained $5,000 to $16,000 for the last 10 years on the House and numbers.
Yeah, no, that is true. Okay, so is there any other discussion on this approval with the amendment as included? Are we ready to vote? Yeah.
Okay.
Are we ready to vote? I think so.
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Yes.
Miguel?
Yes.
Jim? Kim?
Yes.
Yep.
Art? Yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Julie? Yes.
We passed
Second
it.
round, we have unanimously passed with our amendment.